Yellow was my least favorite color as a child. Something about its brightness seemed just off and incomprehensible to me. I know that, and I knew that red and pink are marketed as colors of love, but truly, I think love is such a yellow thing. I didn't have much of an understanding of love as a child, not that children really have much of a concept of the idea anyway, but I didn't have a child's level of understanding. I thought that you picked your crushes, that you just decided you liked someone, and that was that. So I tried to have a crush. I picked someone I liked as a friend, and I told myself that I liked them, and every time the love that I felt for them turned into something black and empty and meaningless. Meanwhile, everyone else was reaching in the air and pulling out such yellow concepts, describing people they loved with such yellow words and in such yellow ways. And I didn't have that. The words I had weren't that yellow. And it was frustrating. The yellow that I hated was something that I wanted so badly to be tangible. But it just wasn't. I couldn't have it. I used to try to write romance when I was in middle school, and every time the couple was separated by this deep gray veil of misunderstanding and unsatisfied longing. As hard as I tried, there was no yellow for me to pull out of the air and put into the things I wrote. All I could come up with was gray wisps, fragments of emotion, and I didn't understand it. I hated it. It frustrated me so much. Because if love was such a yellow concept, why wasn't I able to write it as such? Why couldn't I recreate it? I didn't understand, and I stopped writing. It hasn't been until recently that I've fallen in love with the color yellow. I can see it, and I can create it, and it seems so easy and obvious. My friends absolutely radiate the color yellow to me, albeit a different yellow than most people see, but it's yellow and it's love nonetheless. There are other people in my life that glow a very dull, faded chartreuse. They used to be yellow. At one point, they were very bright yellow, but I tried so hard to intensify my love for them with romantic love that the yellow they were faded into some ugly, almost yellow. Part of me thinks that's what they wanted from me too, for me to love them back. But the shades of yellow we saw in each other and sought from each other were far too different. December 30th, I finally saw my concept of the color yellow reflected back up at me. Up until then, I had never read or watched a character like me. I'd never read a character who had so much love for their friends and family that romance didn't matter, that there wasn't enough yellow in the world for it. Reading the phrase, "Yeah, I'm just not that interested in dating anyone," gave me this instant feeling of validation. Like my world burst into color and I could suddenly see yellow. It was wonderful and beautiful and indescribable, but I can't help but imagine what my life would have been like if I had seen that earlier, if characters like that exist in stories that could make it off of the internet. There's a bigger push for representation in mainstream media now more than ever. There are people begging Disney for a lesbian princess and people praising shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine because of its representation in different communities. As important as those things are, I'd love for there to be a push for characters who don't pursue romance because there simply is not enough yellow in the world. If a little girl like me had a character with which she could wholly identify, a character who didn't pursue romance because her friends and her family were enough, a character who starts off her story like Mulan, afraid she'll disappoint her family because she isn't good enough for love, and ends her story without a leash shine because she never needed one. If a little girl like me had that, maybe she wouldn't have hated the color yellow so much. We all see the color yellow. Some of us see different shades of yellow than others, but we all see yellow. Even still, when I tell people how I see yellow, I get asked if I think it's sad. Representation in mainstream media wouldn't solve this. I know it wouldn't, but it would make things so much easier to explain. I currently don't have a character I can point to and say, this character doesn't lead a sad life, so why would I? And until then, my answer to this question is this. My life is not sad without romance. If you're asking me this question, you're imagining what your life would be like if you woke up one morning and suddenly didn't have the yellow you've been seeing since you were a child. I never had that yellow to begin with, and not seeing it for 17 years makes no difference to me. I hope one day to foster children, I want those children to know that no matter what situation they end up in, they are loved wholly and entirely. That's the kind of love I have, the kind of love I create, the kind of love I experience. And it isn't sad or heartless or unfulfilling or any other adjective someone else has used to describe what my life is like without romance. It's quite the opposite. It's yellow.